Max Verstappen seems to have sent a warning to his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez while making fun of Valtteri Bottas, who used to race with Sir Lewis Hamilton on the Mercedes team. Verstappen is a two-time Formula One champion and is enjoying the offseason right now. He won the title easily in 2022. The 25-year-old had a very strong season, but the way he treated teammate Perez at the second-to-last race in Brazil in November made it a little less impressive. Red Bull had asked Perez to let Verstappen pass him so they could catch up to the cars ahead and get some points back. But they told the Mexican that Verstappen would let him back through if he couldn't pass anyone. Verstappen had already won the title, so he didn't need to make a pass. He was told to give up the position because of this, but he refused and yelled at his team over the radio. Perez replied in kind, and Red Bull's bosses called the two drivers into a meeting to work out their differences. Later, team principal Christian Horner said that the matter was water under the bridge, but rumors say that tensions between the two are still very high and could get worse if similar things happen next season. Verstappen's recent comments about the role of number two drivers like Perez in Formula One will not help the situation. He also made fun of Bottas for not being able to challenge Hamilton while he was at Mercedes from 2017 to 2021. Every year Bottas, starts fresh, Verstappen told Viaplay, but after a few races, you realize that it won't happen again, and you accept your role. He still got on the podium, won a few races, and got on the front row. You just have to accept that the driver next to you is just a little bit better. That's okay, because that can happen. It's important that he took it on board. Some drivers can't do that, and when they can't, everything goes wrong. If that happens, they don't last very long. I won't say who you are, but you have to play your part. You can't live in a world like a fairy tale.
I think you start every year with a good, fresh mind, but then after a couple of races you realize it's again not happening and you accept your role. And I mean, you still drive, it's not like you're still finishing on the podium. Sometimes you want to race, you put it on pole, and you just have to accept that the guy next to you is a little bit better than you.
Yeah, and you won't ever be at that level.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, it happens. But I think it's also important, like he did accept it. Some people cannot accept it, and then it starts to go very wrong, and you actually don't survive that long in a...
Name one?
I'm not going to name anyone, but you have to accept your role at one point. You cannot live in a fairy tale world.
Do you want to name one?
No.
Okay.
Bottas and Hamilton worked well together at Mercedes, where Hamilton won 4 championships in the 5 years they were teammates. Bottas has since said it was hard to accept that he couldn't beat his teammate. Even though it's clear that Verstappen is Red Bull's best driver, Perez has been a key part of his teammates and the team's success over the past 2 seasons. As a result, he's been given a contract that lasts until 2024. But given how powerful Verstappen is, there's a good chance that he could ask Perez to leave the team if he got upset with him. Red Bull would like to avoid another toxic rivalry between teams like the one between Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber from 2009 to 2013. If that happens, they have a great backup driver in the form of former star Daniel Ricciardo, who will be a reserve driver for the team in 2023. Max Verstappen has already won 2 world championships. The Red Bull driver has already won awards for being the youngest race starter and the youngest winner. He also has 2 world titles at the age of 25, so he could still break a lot more records. His performance in 2022 showed that there were not many people who could stop him. He won a record 15 races that year and finished well ahead of everyone else. Given how young Verstappen is, his boss, Horner, said that the Dutchman's future could be frightening. He did this by comparing Verstappen to another world champion, Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian worked very hard, like a German. Horner told GPF fans he worked very, very hard. Max has a very natural, raw talent, and he's hungry and determined, in a way I've never seen before. They are so different in so many ways, but they are both very determined and driven to win and be the best. Max has done so much in a short amount of time, it doesn't matter what he does next in his career. At 25, it's scary to think about what lies ahead for him. Max Verstappen's legacy will be set by time, not by his skills. At the beginning of this century, it seemed crazy to think that even one driver, let alone two, could win 7 drivers' titles. Now, there are questions about whether a third driver could join them. Verstappen is 1 year younger than Michael Schumacher was when he won his second championship, and 4 years younger than Lewis Hamilton was when he won his, which shows that the Dutchman has a very bright future. Even though no one doubts his skill, there are questions about how much time he has left to break the record. Fernando Alonso is happy to keep racing into his 40s, but Max Verstappen has said many times that he does not want to do the same. This year he said that he might even quit after his current Red Bull contract, which runs until the end of 2028. If he did that, he would be 31 years old and out of the sport. In theory, he could win 6 more drivers' championships by then, giving him a record of 8. However, both he and his team, Red Bull, would have to be very consistent. Given how young he was when he started in Formula One, it seems like every record is open to Verstappen. However, it doesn't seem likely that he'll put other goals on hold to achieve them. Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes has said that feeling like Max Verstappen is after him on the track doesn't bother him. Lewis Hamilton says he doesn't worry about Max Verstappen making him feel like a target after their late-season race in Brazil. Since Verstappen spent most of 2022 racing Charles Leclerc at the front or racing out in front by himself, Hamilton and his 2021 title rival had very few chances to race. One such chance came up late in the season in Brazil, when Verstappen tried to move up the inside of Turn 2 at Interlagos. This led to a crash between the two cars and a time penalty for the champion. Hamilton went on to finish second, and the 7-time world champion says he has no worries about how he and Verstappen race. He also said, "I think it's natural when you have success and numbers on your chest. You become a bit of a target. But that's fine. It's nothing I haven't already dealt with." After fighting with the Red Bull driver for the title in 2021, Hamilton's Mercedes W13 wasn't as good in 2022, so he couldn't join the title race. Instead, he had to watch as Verstappen won his second straight title and set a record-breaking season. When asked how hard it was to get used to this after the close race in 2021, Hamilton joked, "I don't think it was easy. It's more like the big ugly number 1. It's as big as you can put it on the car." Hamilton was talking about Verstappen's decision to race with the number 1 on his car in 2022. A reigning world champion is allowed to choose between their usual number and the coveted number 1. Since the rule was put in place in 2014, Hamilton has had to make this choice more than once. He has always kept his usual number 44, while Verstappen has done the opposite. Hamilton hinted that he thought some of the things that were said in the media were meant to upset him or get under his skin. He said that these attempts would not work. Well, that's all the time we had for today. Till next time, cheers!